Hello, everyone. Happy Fed Day. How is everyone doing? Good morning, PMG. Good morning, John. Good morning. Oh, present. And good morning. Well, thank you for being present, Dean. Good morning, Rick. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, David. Good morning, Anissa. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning to people in the background. Good morning to people watching on Rumble. We started streaming there now, too. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. It's not just Fed Day today. We got key earnings after the close. We had GDP information up just a few minutes ago. I don't think Sterling is going to be in this morning. He's tied up at work. So it's just going to be me, Grand Rising Christoph. Hello, Charles. So what do we got going on? We had the ADP employment numbers, which I don't really pay attention to, but bouncing back from the prior dismal minus 23K to 104K above consensus. These are the advanced numbers for Q2. Remember, these will get revised a couple times, and then they stop reporting, but they keep revising them. GDP growth rate, expected 2.4 coming in 3%. And Trump on Truth Social. GDP much stronger. I'm paraphrasing. It's time for too late to cut rates. I'm sorry. If your top GDP is stronger than expected, but we should be cutting rates. All right. Especially with the PCE, the core PCE prices coming in at 2.5%. We're not even below 2% yet on P. And we're going to get the June PCE numbers tomorrow. Remember, these are backwards looking for the whole quarter, the ones released today. Headline was 2.1. We're not even in the ones on that yet. By the way, just Truflation, which has their constant real-time CPI index, they just released a PCE index real-time, where they monitor all these. I don't remember how many things they monitor, but this is real-time. And right now, they're running at 2.53%. A yearly low of 2.3 and a high of 3.08. So again, Truflation not below that 2% target set by the Fed. And I don't even know why we need a 2% target. Can't we get closer to zero? Because they're still going to run it hot. But we've not knocked out inflation. Not knocked it out. And I talked last year about this being sticky, especially in the upper twos. Not 5 or 6, but sticky in the upper twos until we hit major recession. Where else do we sit? Where's the Rumble channel? It should be under Path Trading Partners, or you can search for me, MG Arnold, on Rumble. I have not done the thorough search. Maybe we should be talking higher rates. People would freak out if that were to happen. But, we shouldn't be at 1%. We shouldn't be at 2%. We shouldn't be at 3%. If you're going to argue for a one more cut, fine. But we'll see. I mean, we've had tariffs today. Announced India's going to be 25%. So, we'll see. More and more companies are actually attempting to pass it on to the consumer. So we shall see. Again, long term, tariffs can be deflationary because prices go up and it can trigger a recession. Short term, it can be short term inflationary. And I'm not on this camp that it says it's one time inflationary because let's say you need to pass along 10%, you don't do it all at once. Sometimes you do like 2% a quarter. But longer term, it can be deflationary because it is a tax, and taxes are deflationary. So that's where people arguing inflationary versus deflationary. It can be both. It depends on your time frame. And it depends on how much companies are willing to take a hit, because not all exporters are going to eat it. They're passing on to importers, and that either means the companies eat it or they pass along to consumers. Exporters might eat a little, but that's where it gets complicated. There's no line in the sand. You don't know how it's going to ripple through. That's enough talk about tariffs and inflation and everything for today. What else we have? We have the crude numbers. And then big thing, Fed, they're going to pause today. It'll be interesting to see how many people dissent, how many people want to be favorable in Trump's eyes. So that'll be the dissenters. And what then Powell says. And we got a lot of information again coming out before the September meeting. So if it'll probably be data dependent, blah, 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 blah. We don't know the effects of tariffs yet, blah, 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 blah. And the market still is pricing in a 61%. That's not starts to get above 80. Take it seriously. This is only 61% for the September cut, so we'll have to see what changes after the press conference. Remember, you'll have the red line on their Word document that comes out. Their PDF document that's released at 2 p.m. More important is the press conference. So that's where we're looking at, and that's at 2:30 Eastern Time. All right. Good morning, David. Good morning, Ted. You can only find Bob and coffee and a mic. I'll have to look. Let me see right now. Hold on 1 second. It should be streaming. Let me see. I'm having trouble with some of their stuff. Let me see. Live streams. Says it's live. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. I got a link. It's under Path Trading Partners. 2 followers. Again, we got to get some more followers. I don't even know if I can put this in here. In case you are interested, come on, I hate when that switches. There you go. So, what I would appreciate, even if you don't want to watch it on Rumble, I'd appreciate at least going to subscribe to the channel. If you wouldn't mind setting up a Rumble account and subscribing to the channel so I can get some traction over there also, please. Oh, why does that menu bar keep... I wish I could lock that damn thing in place. All right. So groups today, we'll just do a quick refresh. Energy, lagging, basic materials. Gold had a contract roll, by the way. Gap up, but that's a contract gap. Healthcare, real estate, technology, comm services leading. Again, biggest lagger is energy right now. We had the nice little 4-hour double played out nicely. We already looked at the Fed watch. Fear and greed. In greed mode, down from extreme greed, but dropped back to greed. Schiller PE, 38.86. We already looked at True Inflation's PCE numbers. Earnings, Visa was a beat, gapping down. Starbucks was a misbeat. Announced that they're closing a lot of stores coming up, especially in 2026 on their mobile store pickup stores only, and they are gapping up right against key resistance. This morning, there really wasn't much. Kraft Heinz continues to run towards the it was a beat, if I remember, but it continues to run towards the 200 simple moving average. But after the close, we got Meta and Microsoft. Biggies there, and off car fraud. Meta, Microsoft. So your car vending machine with really weird financials, Carvana. But all eyes on Meta and Microsoft after the Fed meeting today. Then tomorrow, remember, we have Apple and Amazon after the close. Not much going on in the morning. All right. So, what do we got going on? Nearly pulling back to the daily rotation. So yesterday I was watching for the bounce. We pulled back. We did not get the bounce until overnight and then started selling off again this morning. Sorry, we did not get the bounce. I was looking at the wrong day. We did not get the bounce yesterday. We sold off and then sort of consolidating. This morning, Not really interested. I'm going to watch to see if this does pull back closer to the 63.95 to 6400 for potential buy setups. Little mini potential double bottom within a channel. But overall, then the really key area we got to start breaking above is this channel, and over the next pretty much this afternoon, it'll be positioned right around 64.25 and the prior harmonic area. We had a cluster right there, so I'm still paying attention to that area on any bullish moves. All right, if I lower this a bit, it's it's going to be right around the 64.25, 64.27 area. So that's what I'm looking for. Short term, if we do get anything bullish in the open, remember, we can stay choppier up through the Fed time. Would be 64.15 right now is pretty key resistance. Bigger picture, again, daily cycles now at the top and crossing over. So, and we have weekly cycles still at the top and starting to cross. That's daily again. Weekly at the top and starting to try to cross. So I am still cautiously watching for a bigger pullback, although we have not closed below the daily rotation zone. So if we do start breaking, we don't get any buy reversals, and we start breaking below 34.95, I'm going to be watching for it to pull back closer to about 34.45, 34.50 initially. What else? All right. Thank you for following. Thank you, Charles. So, could you teach on when the 6-2 gets invalidated yesterday since it closed above? It's still not technically invalidated. It's still not technically invalidated, but I'm not, again, that was just yesterday. The invalidation point overall is down closer to this prior 62.5. All right. But I'm now, because we did not get any bounce, and that was short. That was a very short-term bounce. When we took out yesterday's lows, it was the minor bounce. That was the invalidation point. The major invalidation point for this whole move up, I just put up there. But the minor one that you were asking about yesterday, when we took out the lows of the day before it made the harmonics, when we took out, here's why I was looking yesterday. So we barely closed above the 62.5, but we did close above it. But when we took out this low, that invalidated it. That was the invalidation point on the short-term one. That's the one you were asking about. I put on the long-term one. Sorry about that. All right. So that was the invalidation point. So that's why now I need another setup to get back into bullish mode. Also, we have the cross of the 4-hour rotation zone. It's back in neutral on that. So it has to get me a bottoming pattern or something, or get above this channel before I can get back bullish. Christoph thinks they set up FOMC right on time for a pullback. I will have to look at crude in a second. The NASDAQ, again, very key, is right around this 23,450 for support. We start breaking below that, I'll watch for the bigger pullback there. Cannot get bullish unless we get above 23,520. That's the key thing. Overall, again, if we really start breaking down, the first level of support is this 23,450. If we start getting below 23, about 850, 23,880, I'm 23,380. Then I'm going to start watching for the bigger pullback into the rotation zone. Again, daily cycles near the top, weekly cycles at the top and pinned there and very overextended. However, these could just simply be pullbacks into the daily rotation zone. We have not been able to sustain any breakdown. Now, the Dow did trigger the double yesterday, and so far just bounced a little. Remember, I watch for bounces. There's where it is on the daily. That's the 4-hour. I watch for bounces into here and then rollover plays. Okay. That's the only thing. So I'll still look for rollover plays in the Dow unless this pattern is invalidated, and it's a long way off from being invalidated. The technical invalidation point would be, if I could put them on the right way, the technical invalidation point right now is still, boy, is still on a close about 45,127 or a trade through, where is it? Where's that? I got to change the colors. Or a trade through about 45,189. All right, so I will still watch for rollover patterns in there. Russell, we confirmed but did not trigger the sloppy mini double top against the rotation zone. So we confirmed it and have not triggered it. So being patient, very patient on the Russell. Russell actually looks like it's forming a rollover rounded top, but there are no, unless this triggers, there are no short patterns there. VIX, little bump, pretty aggressive bump up yesterday off the very depressed volatility. That's about it. Still not much technical damage done. This shows that people are rushing into stuff on even a minor pullback. But it's not even sustaining a move yet. DAX, nothing to talk about. Same stuff we talked about yesterday. Yields. So yields, I think this is going to be a fake out move, but we'll see. Again, it triggered a head and shoulders. Okay, and then we've promptly reversed going into the Fed meeting today, and with those with the GDP numbers coming out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. Very interesting to see how this plays out. But it technically did trigger with targets of 4.25, 4.21. What's interesting is the notes. The notes you see here, by the way, it doesn't work on the notes with reward to risk because the targets extend beyond the move that started it. So that's why it's not even up here, and it didn't even officially trigger on the horizontal neckline. So the yields did, but the notes didn't. That's why I'm being extra cautious on any shorts on the yields because the notes did not trigger. And even if it wasn't valid head and shoulder, I was still watching for it to close above this key resistance level, which it did not, and now it's pulling back today. Crude. We had the 4-hour setup I talked about, gave plenty of time to get in it. Again, not a trade recommendation, but something to follow along. Went through it and came up to the very key. It went through the final targets and came up to the very key resistance level. Now pulling back in the rotation zone and trying to break higher. On a continued move up, 71 to 71.20 is the next key area. It has to sustain, though, for me, a close above about 69.40. Somebody asked about a 15-minute. Was there a 15-minute double bottom? Not this morning. What was that? Like, was there a double on the 15-minute in crude oil today? Let's see. Was there a double? There wasn't one here. I don't see a double. This was not a double. I'm not seeing any double top either. So, yeah, he's snoring. That's Roscoe. I drew it from 1403 a.m. today. This on the 1 hour, I see what you're talking. Yeah, on the 1 hour, it's not a 15 minutes, it's a 1 hour setup. Again, where it is in the rotation zones, hit the first and second targets and then reversed. Yes, that was a little mini valid double. I see the one you're talking about now. Gold, we had the roll. This is a roll gap. If I go to a contract or even go to back adjust, you see. So I'm now watching for the roll gap fill and then a continued breakdown. All right. Again, if you just look at the contract, we rolled to December. So if you look at the December contract, you will see here. Let me just put it up here. If we roll to December, you see, if you just look at this contract, you have the channel that was broken. And you see, because it's the December contract with the roll to, there is no gap, of course. But you see this move did nothing. So, again, we'll be looking for the gap fill on the continuous contract. And on this, on just the December contract, the key level, again, is this 33.50 area. What else do we have? Dollar index. Again, definite trend. We got a little pullback pause yesterday or today, and then now breaking above the top of the channel line. So definite, and there's a lot of shorts in the dollar index. Again, still looking for pullback entries on this, but we triggered, remember, the euro triggered yesterday, a little bounce, and now continuing to move lower on the double top pattern. 114.20, 113.55, 112.83. We also, if we start closing on a daily basis below the 62.5, which is about 113.50 area, then we'll watch for potential return all the way to about 111.50 potentially over the next few weeks. Yen moving higher. Again, my target's still this 200 SMA. We do have still a potential little mini double top. That's the only thing that would shift my stance on the yen. Otherwise, I'm in for yen weakening. Spiders, a little gap up today. So first thing would be the rollover fill for 635.26. There's actually very key resist or support around yesterday's low, 634.35. And then you have the rising rotation zone coming in right around just above 633s. So even on a pullback, you're coming into very key support. What I would be doing if you're looking for targets, besides, oh, hold on, I moved that accidentally. There we go. If you're looking for stuff, I would use yesterday's bar on any, if it does not take out the low and do the, does not take out the low, I'd be using these little harmonic levels for targets today, with a very key one on a bounce being about 636.50 area. The Qs also a little gap up today. So the first thing would be a gap fill to 567.26. Then you got a lot of support right around 566.35 to yesterday's lows. Yesterday's lows officially 566.53. And then the rotation zone sitting in the back at 564.50. Same thing if you're looking for, if we hold these lows from yesterday, then I would just use these harmonics with a very key target being 569.33 on any bounce. What else do we have? We got the good old Bitcoin. Not much to talk about at all. Still in consolidation. Flattening out with the rise at lower rotation zone, rising up, and has not been able to get any launch move. And if we start breaking down the indices, I'll look for a pullback play in Bitcoin. Tesla, still there's a gap left behind. Nothing to talk about. Other than that, there's no fantastic setups from either side right now. If it does get a run above 325, there's the gap fill play to 332.56 potentially. NVIDIA, remember we had potential double tops that were never triggered, and those are invalidated. NVIDIA still. Keep an eye on this one also. And NVIDIA earnings aren't for a bit, but we are very overextended, and we have Meta today. And it'll be interesting what they say on the AI play and see if it triggers any breakdown play on an overextended NVIDIA and overextended Broadcom after hitting the next key harmonic. So that's what I'm watching for. These are very overextended. The little doji yesterday. So I'm going to be watching based off what Meta says today if we get any rollover play in those. United Health has reconnected with its lows. Again, this is not, I'm still watching for United Health to get down below at 243 or lower. Now, if we don't get down there, which we may very well, we do have a potential double bottom setup against the rotation zone, so that's the only thing. Other than that, not touching it. Not touching it. Rick says if you want to use a diversified manageable number of stocks to follow the Dow, is a list of 30 really nice to trade long and short? Yeah. There's some good ones in there. I like to compile my own list of key things I watch of stocks because some things that are very good ones to trade are not in the Dow 30, but that is something that can be done. That's where we sit today. I don't think I really looked. Oh, silver. By the way, silver. Keeping a close eye on silver too because the double top has not been invalidated. We came up to a harmonic cluster, sold off, now breaking below the rotation zone, confirming the double, which could get triggered today. So that will take me, again, from any remaining longs done in the short term and now watching for key pullbacks. So today's close is going to be important. Today's close is going to be important to see if it follows through with the close below that level. All right. That's where we stand. Remember, besides the Fed meeting, Meta and Microsoft after the close, which both, I mean, I should have mentioned that Microsoft will have their AI component and be talking about their AI stuff. And either company can affect NVIDIA, AMD. We didn't look at AMD. Broadcom, AMD also trying to put in some top stuff, very overextended from the weekly rotation zone. So I'm going to be keeping an eye. Another one I'm going to be keeping an eye for a potential pullback is AMD. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I will see everyone tomorrow. Bye for now.